Now when our crystallization comes in the wrong places, is overdone, it has all kinds of names, but it's still the same principle. If it's in the muscles, we call it gout. If it's in the bones, we call it arthritis. In the joints, we call it rheumatism, various names. If it's in the arteries, walls of the arteries, we call it arteriosclerosis. If it comes in as stones in the kidneys or wherever, then it's the stones in the body. Just every variety of illness where you've got a crystallization going on that's inappropriate in that place. Shouldn't be there. It's in the wrong place. Displaced Saturn.
Would that be cavities for teeth?
The opposite is the lack of crystallization where you want it, and that can include cavities in the teeth and osteoporosis where the bones get honeycombed and finally break without even being hit, they just shatter. That's the lack of the Saturn principle in where it ought to be. So you can have too much, too little, or in the wrong place of anything.
In the wrong place, right?
The wrong place is the crystallization coming in the joints or in the muscles instead of just staying in the bones. When you get arthritis and rheumatism and gout and arteriosclerosis and stones in the kidneys, that's all Saturn in the wrong place.
Would you see in a chart by opposition for the usual?
Anything.
Okay.
Any form of letter 10 in conflict. Capricorn planets, 10th house planets, rulers of the 10th house, Saturn. Any form. Now, it was an example of this, and again, of the futility of trying to guess from the chart what anyone's going to do. Chart the guy did in Canada a couple years ago. Very heavy Saturn 10th house emphasis. Just real atlas, carrying the world, trying to do 3 people's jobs. He was carrying 2 jobs and building a home. Second job was to be able to afford the materials to build a home. So he's like, in effect, doing 3 jobs. No time, hardly even to sleep, much less to do anything for recreation. And when we did the chart, we discussed this, that he really had taken on too much. He should extend his timetable. Saturn rules time. That's part of the limits, is there's only so much time, as well as the economic system, the rules of the culture and the rest of it. Take more time, stretch it out a little bit. Don't kill yourself trying to work 24 hours a day. So when we got to the end of the interview, as is usual, I hadn't said anything about health, and so he says, "What about health?" And I said, my usual, I can't diagnose it from a chart, but if you have a problem, I'll be glad to discuss it. Oh, well, he said, I have back problems. Okay, we already talked about it. Saturn. The world on the back. Can't carry the load. The atlas with the world on the back. Loosen up, lighten up, get rid of some of that pressure, Give yourself a little more time. I said, but I couldn't have predicted back problems, because you could just as easily have had problems with your teeth, with your fighting Saturn. Oh, I have that too. And you could just as easily have had problems with your hearing. I have that too.
What's that?
Yeah. He was manifesting 3 different forms of Saturn problem, and he could have had 10 others. The way he was carrying, trying to carry the world. And it's really not what you do, it's the feeling tone with which you do it that does the damage. If you find someone who works 22 hours a day and they meditate for 2 hours and they think everything's fantastic, they're not going to have a problem. But if they're only working 8 hours and they hate what they're doing and they feel burdened and oppressed and harried and victimized by it, they can have those problems.
But in a year infection.
Infection brings in the encapsulated fluid idea. So there's a water component, and if it's in the ears, then there would be a Saturn thing too. So you could say it was, something like a Saturn-Neptune. Where the Neptune says, I ought to be ideal, and the Saturn says, and the world has all the power, and it's telling me I'm not ideal enough, I should be doing better than I'm doing. So we're pressured by the world, and our faith is threatened, or we've set it too high. We're trying to be more perfect and think things ought to be more perfect than they are. And then we can get infections. And if the authority and the pressure from the world is involved, or our own conscience, then it can go in the ear, or any number of other things. It's interesting. I had 3